Animals select their habitats, choosing whether to disperse or migrate to new territories and how large a territory to defend. Whether that area should be high quality but crowded or low density but lower quality. Proximate aspects of navigation for journeys and ultimate causes of why they migrate are fascinating to behavioral ecologists. Most animals select the food they eat and the individuals they mate with. In most cases, they also select the habitat where they live. Biologists have sought to answer a number of questions related to habitat selection. Should juveniles disperse from the area where they were raised, or should they stay? How large an area should be defended against competitors and species that maintain a territory for breeding or feeding? Do individuals have higher fitness when they occupy crowded, high-quality habitats or uncrowded, poor-quality habitats? In ecology, migration is defined as the long-distance movement of a population associated with a change of seasons. At the proximate level, we investigate how animals know where to go between one seasonal home and another. At the ultimate level, we hypothesize how benefits of having more than one home range may overcome costs of migration. To organize research into how animals find their way during migratory movements, we distinguished three categories of navigation. Piloting is the use of familiar landmarks. Compass orientation is movement that is oriented in a specific direction. True navigation is the ability to locate a specific place on Earth's surface. Although animals' means of piloting and compass orientation are well supported by evidence, the exact mechanisms behind true navigation are poorly understood. You may notice a disproportionate number of biologists asking for directions. A human might recognize some landmarks and remember from a previous experience how to return home. The offspring of some migratory birds and mammals navigate in a similar way. They memorize the route when following their parents one or more times, south in the fall and north in the spring, and later they're able to pilot the route on their own. Birds and potentially many other organisms use multiple mechanisms to orient themselves along a direction. Most research on compass orientation so far has been done on migratory birds such as European robins. To determine where north is, these animals appear to use the sun, the stars, and the Earth's magnetic field. Which system an individual uses depends on the weather and other circumstances. The sun is difficult to use as a compass reference because its position changes during the day. It rises in the east, is due south at noon, at least in the northern hemisphere, and then sets in the west. To use the sun as a compass reference, then, an animal must have an internal clock that defines morning, noon, and evening. Most animals have a circadian clock, which maintains a 24-hour rhythm of chemical activity. The clock sets to differing brightness levels of day and night, informing hormonal and neurological systems to influence behavior. If it's not too cloudy, migrating birds in the northern hemisphere can use the North Star to find magnetic north for directing migration. But when the stars are obscured by clouds, some migratory birds appear to orient using Earth's magnetic field. With a compass and a map, humans navigate by simply determining their current location and direction towards destination. Kenneth Lohman tested the hypothesis that green sea turtles have an equivalent map orientation system. Sea turtles traveling across the ocean and then they return to a specific coastal nesting or feeding site with pinpoint accuracy. The Earth's magnetic field varies across its surface in predictable gradients of intensity and angle. Lohman's hypothesis was that the turtles use this magnetic field as a source of precise positional information, much like we use latitude and longitudinal coordinates to locate ourselves on a map. To test this hypothesis, Lohman captured green sea turtles at their coastal feeding grounds in Melbourne Beach, Florida, fitted them with soft harnesses attached to a tracking device, and let them swim one at a time in a circular pool. A coil system around that pool modulated the magnetic field to replicate locations to the north and south of Melbourne Beach. When the pool simulated location north of Melbourne Beach, the turtles swam south towards what they thought was home. When they reversed the magnetic field to simulate a location south of Melbourne Beach, the turtles swam north instead. The turtles were able to locate themselves on the magnetic map, strongly suggesting that they possess magnetic map orientation. Migratory movements can pose enormous navigation challenges, but they are still adaptive. Salmon eggs and young are safer and thrive better in freshwater habitats than they do in the ocean. But adult salmon can find much more food in saltwater habitats than in freshwater and thus grow to bigger size there, which confers a benefit in competition for nest sites and mates. Recently, researchers have documented the evolution of sockeye salmon populations that do not migrate in the ocean or to the ocean. The non-migratory populations are much smaller bodied than migratory populations, presumably because less food is available in the freshwater habitats. The fitness of migrant and non-migrant sockeye salmon appears to be similar in this case due to fitness trade-offs. The larger-bodied migratory salmon are more successful in competing for nesting sites and mates. However, the migratory salmon also experience higher costs in terms of time, energy, and predation risk.